So I thought the axle was bad, which it probably still is. But I came to the back here, and yeah. That might have something to do with it. Holy crap. This is the second lateral link I've broke on one of these things. Jesus. That can't be good. Well, I'm already starting to change these tires. I already did one, and I already removed the axle. So we might as well do all that since we have it apart. Or, I mean, the boot's ripped either way, so. Alrighty, now we gotta find a lateral link. I guess I can steal one off of the Brat for the time being, but I don't know how many more of these I have laying around. Yeah. That's not good. Oh, good thing it didn't happen while I was going 60 miles an hour down the road, right? After much struggling, we got the OEM size struts on here. They're actually STI struts, but we replaced the one link. Got that in there. Got our sway bars bolted back up. Everything's tight. We had to switch the trailing arm brackets. You guys can't really tell the difference, but this bolt hole here is lower and farther back on the brackets that were on the car, and that's to help recenter the wheel and the wheel well. When you lift it, it pulls the wheel forward. So everything's bolted up. We got the tires mounted. These ones are easy breezy. These Potenzas are a major pain in the butt. Luckily, I persuaded Bert to come over and help me, and even with the two of us with 3 pry bars, it was still insanely hard to do, but we got it, so that's good. Thank you, Bert. And now we're just gonna do this inner tie rod because it is pretty shot. Guess it could be worse, but it's pretty bad. So in order to do that, first you're gonna want to loosen your jam nut. Make sure that your inner tie rod is free from your outer tie rod. Then you're gonna take your cotter pin out, loosen your castle nut, whack the heck out of your knuckle here until that loosens. Then you're good. Then you have to remove your boot. So this you hit with some pliers, and there is one of the forget what they're called, but it's like a metal zip tie that's one-time use, so you got to break that off, cut it somehow, pull your boot off of the end here, and then in there will be a two-sided flat, and there's a tool specifically made for that. I'll show it once we get there. Alright, I was attempting to break the nut loose from the inner, but I realized that the inner comes with new nuts, so we can just leave this one on here. No biggie. So now we'll take the cotter pin out and the castle nut and knock the outer loose and unthread that and count the threads. Normally that should be, I believe, a 17, but it's actually 18 because I've already replaced this outer tie rod. A lot of times they use one size up or down, nuts and bolts, different hardware. Same thread, but different set size head. Like 14 threads. Alright, we got the boot undone. That's what it looks like. Can't even see. That's what it looks like in there. Can't get this part of the boot over the nub, but we're gonna lube it up some more and try again. We just gotta slide this out to give us room to mess around in here. Should be. Yeah, the piece we're trying to take off is like right here. Alright, this is the tool. It's these little crow's feet with these tabs on it. All different sizes for different cars. And then it has this giant rod that the ears go into. And then there's a little collar ring that you twist and it locks them in place so you can't pull it back off. I typically go by hand because it's just too much vibration for the gun. You can try your gun, but I usually just do it by hand. Seems to be better. Just like that. She's loose. And you can probably take your whole setup off of here now because it's just kind of in your way. There's your inner tie rod end. It has that lock ring with these kind of bead over it to prevent it from spinning. Here's the new one. I usually like to add a little extra grease in this fitting just to be safe. Can't really hurt. Loctite these threads, and I assume reuse that lock washer if you don't get a new one. This didn't come with one, so I'm going to reuse that one. Alright, my battery's getting low, so I think we're going to cut the video here, but the rest of it is just the reverse of the removal procedure. You're going to want to thread your jam nut onto here, use lots of anti-seize, and then thread your tie rod back on however many threads you counted. I had 14. Place it back in the knuckle, tighten your castle nut, tighten it until a spline lines up with the hole. Put your cotter pin back through. Oh, that tie rod end's not there, but there's a hole in your tie rod end. You got to line these castle peaks up. That's why it's called a castle nut. Gotta line those up with the hole and then slide your cotter pin through. Make sure this is pretty tight. Don't overdo it, but you definitely want to make sure it's tight. And then we'll just throw a nice heavy duty zip tie on that inside collar. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to Loctite the inside. You don't want your tie rod and your tie rod end coming loose.